Hi everybody, welcome to TIA Now. I'm Clarence Reynolds. We are coming to you from General Motors Global Headquarters in Detroit, and it's an important question. Why are there so few women in the telecom industry? How will gender diversity play a role in meeting the needs of a growing ICT workforce? Well, joining us to discuss are TIA board members Betty Manetta, President and CEO of Argent Associates and Associate, Kanchana Raman, President and CEO of Avion Networks, and Jennifer Sims, CEO of Power and Tel. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
I want to start with some statistics. A 2016 Wall Street Journal article shared that men are more than 30% more likely to be promoted to management roles than women, and women hold less than a quarter of the senior leadership positions and less than 1/5 of all C-suite roles in corporate America. So here today, we have three CEOs. You all have Fortune 500 work experience, all have postgraduate degrees, and all three of your companies have a history of solid financials to the tune of about a combined $1 billion in sales annually.
That's right.
So the first question would be, as a value proposition for your customers and your stakeholders, why is diversity so important?
So anyone can start.
Sure.
All right, then I'll chime in. I think that first and foremost, the ability to work with small companies and women-owned businesses, really we have a lot of innovation, agility. We bring a lot to the table. Our value proposition is also that we represent our customers' customers. Think about it. 50% of women that own businesses make a lot of procurement. So the value proposition is that we really do understand the marketplace, and we are the largest consumer of a lot of things. So our customers need to ensure that we are reflected in their supply chain. So that would be one area of value proposition. I'll let my colleagues from other companies chime in as well.
And I think it's tapping into a diversity of thought and ideas. And I think that's very critical for a successful corporation, is just not being able to tap into ideas from one pool of people, but gender diversity overall.
So I would add a thank you to TIA for hosting us this morning or this afternoon, depending on what time zone you're in. I really appreciate the privilege of being able to share this morning. And I would start with a story. So I went to the great University of Tennessee, orange and white, fight, 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 have to say that, for graduate school. And the 1 year that I watched the football team, they had a big star. Many of you have heard of Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning has done great things. But during his time at Tennessee, did they win a national championship? No. They did well, but they didn't win a national championship. But after he had moved on, the next team that came on was one that had a whole bunch of varying strengths, where the entire team, everybody brought something to that team. And they went on to work together, get stronger over the course of the season, and win a national championship. To me, that illustrates the whole purpose and point of us bridging the gender divide, or whatever you want to call it. It's not about bridging a divide, it's about incorporating it for tomorrow and making the use of all the skill sets that we collectively bring, all of our personalities, all of our differences, and taking the best of and moving it forward.
Correct.
Right.
So.
What particular hurdles do we have in our industry as it relates to women and diversity and really supporting that?
So a couple of hurdles that I see in supporting diversity is that, first of all, things are moving so fast. Technology is evolving faster than we've ever seen before. Companies are looking to really automate everything, and for a lot of obvious reasons, cost reduction, the ability for our workforce to make sure that we have the right workforce. So I think that when you have all this, all this momentum, what happens is we kind of lose sight of what's important. And I think that one of the things that I see as a challenge is companies really making sure that they don't forget the human aspect of it, the acting intentionally and looking at companies for their value that they bring, because eventually if you continue to do that and reduce you're really firing your customer base. Think about it, right? the less I do with a set group of people, they start moving away, and hence reducing your economic prosperity within certain sectors.
I think I want to, I agree with Betty, and I want to add that, with the changes that are happening in the industry, like in our industry, we are in 5G right now, we're working on FirstNet, and we're working on densification, small cells, how do you keep up with technology? So I think one of the hurdles is, we as entrepreneurs are far removed from training, and most of the things we find out is from press releases. So I think for me the hurdle would be, more inclusion, in discussions in terms of forecasting, and being ahead of the curve in terms of training your own people to keep up with the change in pace. But like they say, the next generation 5 years ago was 5 years, but now the next generation is like 3 months from today. So definitely keeping up with changes in technology around us.
I appreciate the question because there are a lot of hurdles and some of them are more pronounced than others. One of the things that I think we sometimes fail to consider is that, just some stats, things like computer science majors. In 1984, women made up 37% of computer science majors, and today they make up somewhere between 13 and 18%. So if you're looking at technology and both the rate of speed and the intensity, then how do you bridge the gap, whether you're a female or male, it doesn't matter. How do you bridge that gap and get everybody moving forward and understanding the base of what's happened so far? And so the training aspect becomes important, as do many of the other associations that support the industry, one of which being WICT, Women in Cable and Telecom, that provides educational assistance to help bridge that gap for their board members and their chapters. And so how we incorporate that in our businesses to thrive, to get everybody to level up, that's one of the opportunities. And I know that we've taken that on at P&T, and I believe you both have as well.
Yeah, I think more of a technical workforce, and investing in STEM education early on, and making sure that we educate the young girls and not make technology fearful, make it more inclusive.
Right, and I think the other aspect, just to kind of piggyback on that, is not everybody's going to go to college, and not everyone's going to go to computer science training. However, there are ways that we ourselves can take the workforce that we do have. So in my company, I've taken 4 or 5 young men and women that were in the warehouse doing kitting, and they are now RF engineers. Never had formal training, but that was an investment we made to really make a difference. And I think, doing things like that, sometimes it doesn't have to be a formal training. It could be hands-on, and now they're doing amazing stuff. And guess what? They have a career path that will take them to the next level that they never thought possible, because they were never going to be able to go to college on their own. So I think there's a lot of stories like that, and all of us working cohesively, we can have that pool of talent within our country. We just need to figure out a way to do it better.
And I think it's the everyday purpose of working, where you know that you have to make an impact on society. So I think that's what we're really trying to communicate over here.
What would you say to a telecom company that does not have diversity as a priority? You've probably encountered some.
I would, yeah.
No. I always start, so you guys.
You want to go?
Please.
Okay. So I would say that, make a start. It doesn't have to be big, but at least make a start. And I think it definitely is, and with the uptick in media, I think it is an uptick in branding, and it is good business. And it also gives you the ability in the coming decades to do well and to prosper. And have one of the things with the Quest and TIA is they say what is not measured does not get done. Mm-hmm. So with the sophisticated data that's available today, I would say have some measurable goals. Doesn't have to be big, but it could be small, but have a goal. And that's what I would really say, because I think it's good business, it's the right thing to do, and hopefully it benefits many generations, coming.
There's so many ways to answer that question. They can partner with other companies that work with with each. They can partner with schools, they can partner with WICT, with TIA, with Quest as a piece of TIA. There are all sorts of means to an end. But I like what Betty alluded to but didn't say outright, which is modeling. It's easier when you've seen somebody or you can see what that looks like. And as we travel around, one of the things that we often talk about is we don't see many other women CEOs. Is that a fair?
That is true. That's
whether in our
can't be what you
industry,
can't see.
yeah,
It's
or
really
others, and that,
right.
yeah, that to me is the bigger challenge. So how do you start today by implementing things that where they gravitate towards, that everyone will gravitate towards trying to step up? And what does that look like? Because according to the jobs surveys, in about 10 years, we'll have a 6 million job shortage of things that need a college degree, but U.S. can't provide. And 60% of the college degrees today, and anything from associates all the way through graduate, are women. So you'd miss out on a huge pool. So how do you start today by helping to step that up? That would be a
And I
a
also
big
think
piece.
that, companies that don't have a good program, there are so many organizations and agencies that can provide the support. Again, we have the National Minority Council, the Women's Business Council, all kinds of organizations that really do help, because what we're seeing is a decline. And what's happening then, it has an economic impact. Again, I said it earlier, and especially the women's organization, they talk about acting intentionally, right? So what that means is we have choices, right? As consumers, as business people, we have choices to procure things from companies that do business with us. We have another saying, buy those that buy us, right? So the more you have this kind of, and it's starting to spread. It's not just me saying it. It really trickles down, because I tell my employees tell their family. So all of a sudden, people are starting to make purchases and choices based on how these companies are performing with women-owned businesses. Are you trickling it down? Is it having an impact on our communities? Because again, it has to be impactful. If it's not impacting our community, then it's just checking a box, and that's not the solution that we need.
That is a really good point, because if you look out how many people and services do $1 billion companies provide. Now, look at the three of us, and we represent a very large spend just sitting here. And when any one of us walk up to someone and start talking, what is the assumption about the size of our businesses? And that has been a big hurdle to overcome. Is that a fair?
That is
a fair representation? Usually, it's changed my entire discussion point. If I'm trying to talk to someone, instead of saying, hi, my name is Jennifer, I really have to start with, hi, so I'm a global tier 1 provider of, and then fill in the blank.
And it's like we've been in business for
and we've been in business for 55 years, yeah.
And we can do it. We can do the job right, and we can handle a big contract. So no, and I think also in terms of the future, I think corporations can invest, and I think many of them already are, into STEM education, into the DECA chapters, disadvantaged programs. I think we have to step outside our comfort zone and reach out, because I'm just not looking at the present day. I mean, we people have been in business, I think, collectively for over 100 years here, and I didn't even know I was a women-owned business for the first 10 years, right? So, but I think the awareness is more now, and I think it's important for us to invest in our future generations. I mean, I'm a big proponent of youth education, and I think that's something corporations can easily do, and I know many of them have done it, and we have participated in that.
And very importantly, we're in Detroit, as you mentioned, and you couldn't find a more aggressive city that is really giving back to the community and focusing on coding, STEM, for the disadvantaged young youth in Detroit.
I think it's very
and
important.
it is so, and so to me, I am so proud to be here and being able to do this interview in a city that gets it, that has made a difference, and you see it as you walk around the streets of Detroit today.
Okay, so I have a question, if I may. So do you think of yourself as a woman-owned business first, or a business who's going to provide value first?
No, I think that we provide value. I don't consider myself a woman-owned business. We bring innovation, we bring value, we bring creativity, solutions, and then I always tell people what you get on the icing, the free, is the fact that we are a minority woman-owned business. That's a freebie.
So you're more conscious of inclusivity than maybe others might be, just because it's a part of who you are.
Yeah, I think it's value. I mean, we compete equally. We're looking for equal opportunities, and we're looking to bring innovation. We're willing to, we're looking to bring cycle time reduction, cost optimization, and bring in those data and the analytics that go with it. So I think it's all about value. Like I said, I think when we got started, there was no awareness that we were a certified women-owned business or a minority-owned business. We just competed on our skill sets. Yeah.
Compared to your male counterparts that you've experienced, how do you think being a woman has informed your leadership style?
Well, for me, I think my leadership style, even when I worked in corporate America, because I think most of us did come from corporate America at some point in time, I was always very inclusive. I was always multitasking, so the ability to do multiple things. And I remember my boss saying, Betty, we had some very smart people, and a great story. They were Wharton graduates and Harvard graduates. And at that time, I think I was still going to school part-time and getting tuition refund, and I was at Rutgers. And my boss, and I said, with all these smart people, and he goes, but you know what, Betty? You will just get it done. They will analyze and they'll be strategically planning and blah, blah, blah. By the time they do all that, you have it done. And I think that's what it is, because we see it, we know what needs to be done, we just execute on it. And I never had an issue, and it's always good to fail, and if you fail fast, get up and move on, because I think that's what helps us. And the part that I think that I love is, since I am more motherly, I try to make sure it's more like a family, and I take everything seriously. If somebody screws up, I take full responsibility, because that's my responsibility. I got to protect my children. So I think that's what shapes me and makes me who I am today, and I love it.
Oh, well, it's funny you asked the question, because I don't have any experience being a guy. I've been blessed to be born a woman, and so I only know what I've seen and what I've personally experienced. And the harder you work, the luckier you get, and the more that you get engaged and that you're a part of solution sets, the easier it is to say, well, why not Power and Tel? And I love that I'm hearing more of that than I used to. Hopefully that means we're doing something right. And the idea that we're all just working hard towards helping improve an industry that's changing so quickly, that we're trying to incorporate both our employees and our team members and everyone we talk to, and how do we continue that momentum, and how do we accelerate it, and how do we bring along those folks who are young and energetic and want to get it done, because it's really, at the end of the day, it's not your busyness, it's only the results that count, and making sure it's effective.
Yeah, I think it's a great point. And like Jen said, I wouldn't know how it is to run a company as a guy, because I've been an entrepreneur 22 years, and I own 100% of my companies. Of course, over the years, you do get investors and you grow. But I think the main thing is I compete like anybody else, and my leadership style is aligned with what the customer expectation is. So it is more like, okay, the technology is changing, everybody buckle up. Let's roll up our sleeves, learn what it takes, and support and align with your Fortune 100 customer that you're supporting. So I don't think there's anything about being a male or a female in a leadership position. It is more about competing, aligning, and keeping up with technology and delivering the value that your customer is expecting you to. So I think at some point the lines are blurred when it comes to leadership styles. It's all about the company.
And I think we are at a point in time where, I think we're very agile. We can pivot, because we were just talking about the industry, how it's changed. It's no longer telecom or No, it is a very converged industry that we work in, right? You have media, you have autonomous vehicles, cars are becoming mobile devices on steroids or on four wheels, right? Think about it. I mean, so you have to be able to have the vision and be able to move quickly when you see something shifting and create, I always like to say, create your own blue oceans, create your own destiny, because, there's too many piranhas in those red oceans sometimes, and they're waiting to eat you up. It's a bloody red ocean. The blue ocean is the ones that we can excel in, and we can make a difference. And so I always like to think about, this is a perfect time to create your own destiny because of the convergence and the shift in the blurred lines between industry groups.
So is it fair to say that as I listen to you both, one of the things I think of is how often big businesses go out and invest in a very small business, a two-man shop or a two-gal shop, depending on how you look at it, and try and grow it. Here we've got very established, long-running, successful, effective, efficient businesses. Why not invest in those and get up a notch where you really can move economies of scale? And as I listen to you, I wonder who else is out there where we could make those investments and already have the confidence
time-tested, if you would,
and the
yeah.
time-tested piece part of it.
I think it's a great
That's a
point.
great
Yeah,
point.
definitely
Absolutely.
a great point, yes.
Are there any final thoughts that any of you want to give about what you would say to other women or to companies who are hesitant to do business with a woman-owned or woman-run company?
Oh, okay. I always have thoughts. I would say, yes, we may be women-owned and operated, but it doesn't mean that our entire workforce is all female. So depending on what your personality is, I'm sure I have somebody on staff who can match that personality and that ask, and I would encourage you to just take a chance and work with us. But the big ask that I would have for all of our viewers today and over the course of time is, if you have suggestions or thoughts on how to help expedite merging gender in the workplace, I would love to hear them. So if you have any feedback, please let us know, because I think we'd all be welcome.
Yeah, and I also think that all the corporations that are part of our family, of the TIA family, all the businesses need to really start looking, because you have women within your leadership rank, and what has been shown time and time again is that when companies invest in women and diversity, they economically they do better, right? When their boards have diversity and women as part of it. So it is. There are statistics and all kinds of data around that. So to me, it's a no-brainer. Why not? Why do it with us? Because we already are established. We have the footprint. We have the capability, the capacity, the scale, the globalization. And you know what? As Jennifer said, we are, and really we're not all women and not all one ethnic group.
We have a great team behind us.
Yeah, we have a great team, and when you look at it, most of our workforce are all diverse, whether it's sex, whether a gender, rather say, or whether it's ethnic, and also LGBTs now, and veterans. So I have a little bit of everything. So I'm really proud of our numbers, and again, I think that's what really sets the standards on, economic impact. So we are impacting our communities.
So I think gender and race diversity. I mean, at one point I used to pride myself in having 18 different nationalities working for a company, and just the ability to learn the value system that all of them bring to the table. I think it's just empowering and enriching, and I got to credit all of those people that have worked with me, and I've learned from all of them. I think the ICT industry has now become a very generic industry. I mean, we are lending ourselves to healthcare when you look at the 5G and the reducing of the latency, and to be able to do robotic surgeries and reach the remotest of the villages. I mean, it just gives me goosebumps just thinking about the opportunity, both as a driver and consumer, to be working in this industry, to be part of this industry for the last 22 years, and to be part of this evolution and the disruption that's happening around us. So I think the message is, for the younger generation to embrace the ICT industry to be part of the bandwagon. And again, for corporations, there are many, many great corporations. And I want to really credit the many of them that have had this great program for inclusion of both women and and diversity of all types, that they have helped us in our journey get here. And I really hope many of them would be able to mirror those values, because I always tell myself, no matter how hard I work, there have been those few good men, few good companies, few good women out there that have lifted us. So I want to say thank you to all of them.
Absolutely, because they have really paved the ground for us, and they continue to be best in class, and you'll see them at the NMSDC winning awards. So a shout out to AT&T and Toyota and all of that.
And like B-Bank says, he for she's.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Yes.
Well, thank you for being with us today, and thank you for your insights and for your work on our board.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you, Claire.
Thank you, Terrence.
And of course, thank you for watching, and you can see more videos at our website, tianow.org, and on our YouTube channel.